Alright, this short novel is called Easy Come, Easy Go. It's also called Daniel's Discoveries. Ancient Greece. And Greece is spelled as in bacon grease, or grease from a greasy spoon. Ancient Greece. We should eat, Ernie said. Yeah, let's eat something, he repeated, staring across to the trees on the downhill side of the road as we climbed through the park. Man, the woods look pretty dark tonight. The trees on both sides were wrapped in a forbidding dark gray freeze. It sure looks cold out there. It's December, Moody. December is cold, said Ernie. The cold, heavy fog whistled by my window, which was open about an inch for a rip of fresh air, counteracting the car's heater. It was one of the last mornings of December '92, and still dark outside. It was as late as it can be without getting, as Ernie calls it, Led Zeppelin's Eastern glow over the rooftops. Go to Greece, Ernie said, after a few quiet moments. The Athenian Diner was the only 24-hour restaurant on that side of town, and the only indoor choice we had at that time of morning. At the far side of the park, I turned my parents' Chevy wagon downhill towards civilization again. The dim lights of our small New England city out in front. Long Island Sound, the blackness beyond the lights. Ernie and I had been driving aimlessly for several hours after leaving O'Flaherty's pub after midnight. It was the night Ernie first suggested a big summer road trip. It was also the night I decided to seduce. Jennifer, Ernie's favorite ex-girlfriend. Over the course of the long evening, I decided my affair with Jennifer had become unavoidable. At the restaurant, Ernie stepped over to the snow-covered sidewalk box and got a copy of our thin local paper, the New Haven Register. When he let the door go, it slammed and made a bang like a gunshot. "Two?" the old waitress at the door asked us. "Yes, ma'am, 2, Ernie said. We followed her down a row of occupied booths to a free one. "Coffees?" "Yes, ma'am." "2?" she asked with a wink, teasing me, the drunken one. "Yeah, 2, I answered. "Maybe more," Ernie added. "Maybe you should leave the whole pot." "One of those nights, huh?" said the waitress. "You could say that again," Ernie answered her, handing me an open menu. I sometimes imagine that me and Ernie are working through a similar fog these days, everything black and white coming out 1,000 shades of gray. However, the theory doesn't hold much water. Ernie would never see it like this. He's a troubled animal, but he is practical. Slumped down in the padded vinyl booth with my food and coffee half finished, I for once found I didn't have much to say to Ernie. He understood only that I was tired and didn't feel like talking. "I'll talk, you eat," Ernie said. "Hey, listen up. Let's do a big drive this summer. Let's do the whole damn thing." He looked left and right in quick thought. "Well, whack it. Kerouac it. Burn, baby, burn, like Roman candles. We'll burn them at both ends." He paused. "Save up some cash, hombre." There was a post-nasal scratch in my throat, and the cold ketchup on the home fries felt good slipping down. "Where'll we go?" "Where won't we go?" Ah, silly me. Of course. I took another forkful to think of the next question. "For how long?" "I don't know, a couple of months, as long as it takes." Ernie then began listing the cities he wanted to see. The list was long. Atlanta, Chicago, Phoenix, Vegas, and more. I heard him through and drank the brown plastic glass of ice water that was left on the table by the other townies before us. I didn't notice the drink wasn't mine until Ernie pointed out the black lipstick on the lip of it. "Definitely Atlanta," he continued. "And I want to see Vancouver. Our elderly waitress walked with a limp and walked slowly. In time, she came by and took a 10 for the meal of $5.60 something. I was expecting change, but she didn't bring any. When I asked for it, she asked how much I wanted back, and I said just $1, and she gave us both a look like, "Oh, what men you are." In parentheses, a lesson learned for the future. It's not a good idea to ask for $1 from an old woman serving you food in the middle of the night. I guess it's better to ask for 2 or not to ask at all. Chip chap, Ernie said with a happy soft chuckle, amused by her look and treatment of us. The waitress was clearly a tough girl in her time. The look was one I'd only seen come from Jennifer before. It was the look Jennifer gave us whenever she witnessed anything childish, such as any time she went out to a bar with us. It was the look she gave Ernie far more than she gave me. I always made a point of being slightly less drunk. "Hey, what are you doing tomorrow night?" Ernie asked next with the last mopped-up mouthful of toast and corned beef hash, turning my attention back to the present. Nothing. It's New Year's Eve, guy. You know you should do something." "Like what? Go out and..." "God, you're an ass sometimes," he said, cutting me off. "Well, you just said I should be saving my..." "Forget it." He opened the newspaper for the 3rd time and then closed it again. "Eat your food before I do." And there was a little too much of this. In the right mood, I could turn New Year's Eve into any night of the year. At times, there was even a party to go in the city. But it's been enough in the past that there wasn't anyone in either city I was in love with. This time, the situation was different. But Jennifer was too far away to worry about. A bottle of affordable bubbly and a few good discs would do the trick nicely. I would sing myself into a merry, mellow stupor, and Ernie would go to his new girlfriend's ski house up in Vermont, and no doubt wish he was still together with his ex. I was sure of it. When we were done at the diner, the fog had lifted, but the sun was still below the horizon. The air was cleaner as we did our last loop through town, our little industrial harbor town, our little liberal university town, our crack town, tired, greasy, and hoarse, wholeheartedly trying to remember all the pointless turns we'd taken since leaving the bar. "This city really does bite it," said Ernie, as we drove under the highway bridge, where Blatchley Avenue becomes Willow Street. I nodded my partial agreement and continued on past the high school toward the park again. Mom says she can't believe we stayed friends all these years." "Did we?" I asked him, but he didn't hear me. In a strange moment of clarity, he offered up something of an apology for himself, on the tail of some of his own family resentment. A bit of repentance, maybe, for his short-tempered, violent past. "Did I tell you she called me an ectomorph? My own fucking mom called me an ectomorph." He went silent for a look out his own window. "Well, I guess I was a pretty crazy little kid at times." "Don't kid yourself, you were a crazy big kid." "They actually told me I was a mistake. I got them to admit it. Can you believe that? Jesus. My little brother wonders why I have to kick his ass all the time." He laughed a bit uncomfortably. "They might have been right," I told him. "Ha ha, very funny. They got what they had coming. Not my fault. Have a big physical kid and then party all night with your hippie artist friends. See where that gets you." The sound of this was wickedly unusual, and I laughed pretty hard. He sounded for a second like a struggling comic, whose best joke is usually just too painful to tell other people. "I'm glad someone's enjoying this," Ernie said. "Hey, you see that street sign? I think they changed Crown Street to Clown Street." He smiled with his optical illusion. "Really?" "Yeah, you missed it." I turned back forward and then ignored him. I leaned in and turned the radio dial. "Just keep driving for a while," he said. "Okay." "Hey, Freebird, leave it." So I did. I left it and turned it up. I kept driving for a while and enjoyed it, calmly thinking about Jennifer, his Jennifer, our Jennifer, my Jennifer, a woman with guts, beauty, and now sense. The best thing I knew always come much quicker to those who are patient.